Government Operations Committee. We're going to, in a couple of minutes, or not, in a few minutes, we're going to vote on the bill to extend the options for town meeting day. But before we do that, we're going to hear from the Vermont League of Cities and Towns in terms of their priorities that might be of interest to the committee. So why don't you do that? Either one of you start us off. Karen?
Just so you know, I put my mute on so that while I was under the desk, if I swore, you wouldn't hear me.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
you're
Jeanette,
back
we
online.
decided, I had decided that we would do the League of Cities and Towns first and then do the bill when you got back. But if you're back and you'd like to just do that. You're muted anyway, so we're not
Yeah,
paying
do
attention.
that.
Do which?
Do the VLCT first, as long as you've
Okay,
decided
that's-
that.
Okay, Karen, take it away, Karen.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about our priorities so early in the session. I did send to Gail maybe yesterday our amended priorities for the 2022 session. And there are a few of them that relate to your committee. So I thought I might just run through those. And Gwen is going to talk about some of them, and I'm going to talk about some of them. Firstly, thank you so much for taking up the town meeting bill as quickly and efficiently as you did. I was just on a webinar with close to 70 local officials who want to know what's happening with town meeting 2022. So we're very gratified that you're addressing that issue right off the bat. We would like to focus on a few additional issues, one being remote meetings, one being environmental justice legislation that's been introduced, tools to address COVID, and then law enforcement and emergency medical services type issues, which I believe, and of course, governance. How could I forget governance? Sorry. So as I mentioned, we are wholly and enthusiastically in support of the town meeting legislation. We also hope that the committee will take up legislation that allows municipalities to hold wholly remote meetings, select board meetings, planning commission meetings, boards and commissions type meetings, at least on a temporary basis. We had 1,700 cases today. It's kind of mind-boggling to even think about. But the law right now says that there has to be one person in a physical location in order to hold a meeting of a municipal body or regional commission or any entity like that, and state agency, I believe, as well. And there's a couple of considerations there. Firstly, somebody gets to draw the short straw and be the person that's in the town office or the town hall for a meeting and welcomes whoever chooses to come through the door. And there are not only health considerations around that, but there are safety considerations. If you have one person in a municipal building at night, that's open to the public. So we're suggesting that in much the same way that the Senate just voted this morning to stay remote for a while, that you would authorize remote meetings for municipalities and state and entities like that, potentially through May 31st. We're just throwing that date out, but if you did that, then we would know that the weather was good by the end of May, theoretically, and we would know that you wouldn't have to revisit it during the legislative session. So we are also supportive of the climate action plan recommendation to make remote meetings a permanent feature for municipal regional type meetings. I know that the Secretary of State has a different perspective on that, on the permanent option, but at least in the near term, we urge you to pass something that allows for remote meetings during this pretty scary COVID season that we're in. I also wanted to mention the environmental justice legislation that was introduced by Senator Rom Hinsdale, among others. Last session, our board did endorse that legislation at their meeting in November. And we're hoping that it moves. There are 40 some states that have some kind of environmental justice law guidance policy on the books today. So it seems like Vermont is actually way behind the 8 ball on that front. I'm going to let Gwen talk a little bit about the governance issues, as she worked quite hard on coming up with a list of provisions that might be reasonable to pass in terms of ordinance authority for local governments. So Gwen, I don't see you, but there you are. Okay.
Here I am. Thank you, Karen. Senator Whitehead mentioned this when the committee was going through some of their priorities and bills that were coming through. And S-181 is this sort of governance bill we've been looking at. We know that your committee has been champions on pushing forward more flexibility at the local level, doing local governance matters. And we understand that the resistance is in the House, unfortunately, but we're trying to find a way to sort of meet in the middle and find common grounds and sort of go with what the flow is from Legislative Council that we've heard in past testimony, especially when we've been looking at charter proposals that were before you that had asked to borrow other charter provisions from other towns or expand local authority. The Legislative Council had said that they were sort of unconstitutional proposals. So knowing that some towns couldn't go that avenue, we're trying to basically go via the statutory language, just sort of what's already in place. And we looked at it through the lens of providing more 24 VSA 2291 ordinance authority. So that list of what towns can do via ordinance, expanding upon that. Also making tweaks throughout statute to adjust really local governance matters, basically eliminating archaic offices, allowing more flexibility for either appointment or election of certain officials, expanding the number of board members on certain boards, or lessening the amount of folks on those boards, matters like that. So we are hoping that this is going to be sort of a first step. I hate to call it low-hanging fruit, but sort of take some easy steps this year and get some positive feedback from you folks. And then every year thereafter, sort of add to that sort of list. Some of the authorities will have to go back to voters for approval. Some of it could be legislative body authority, but we can get into the details later. But it's basically sort of trying to find a middle ground where we can get the ball rolling and sort of try to find some small changes that'll have big impact at the local level.
Great. Did you have more to say, Gwen or Karen, or is that for right now where you are?
Well, we had heard in conversations late last year with Representative Gannon that he would be interested in pursuing this kind of an approach on several fronts. So it's somewhat more hopeful than previous endeavors, I would say. He did indicate that he'd be interested, for instance, in extending local option tax authority to all municipalities without going through the charter process. And he seems fairly interested and receptive to the issues around like numbers of people on boards and archaic offices being eliminated and those kinds of things. So I think we have a starting place for a conversation there.
Yeah, and we definitely will be taking that bill up. And you weren't here when we talked about the open meeting law, but we will be crafting a bill here. And I'm just wondering if there's a possibility that we can do that on Thursday or Friday, or if we can do that on Wednesday. Tucker, is Tucker with us?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. If on Wednesday, we have we're on the floor at 1, and then we have the governor's state of the state at 2. If we can start having the discussion on the open meeting law at 3:15 when we're done with the state of the state, and start crafting the bill. Does that make sense to anybody?
Sure.
Perfect.
Okay.
Carpe diem.
Because we
here.
do want to get that done pretty soon. And if we start the discussion on Wednesday afternoon, we can get the testimony from different people on and go forward. Okay.
The next issue that we wanted to talk a
And
little bit.
yes,
Yes.
Allison
Madam
has her hand
Chair,
up.
Yeah.
I'd just like to, the jurisdictional issue on local option tax isn't just GovOps.
No, we're not going to go into the details now. When we
Right,
get,
but I'm just curious because that's the big impediment for that is Ways and Means. So
right,
it's great that John is willing to chat about that, but that's like just the beginning.
yeah, I just don't want us to go into detail on any of the issues right now. We're just
Yeah.
raising the issues. But if we get into the detail, we won't have time to vote out our town meeting bill.
Okay, we're ready. We're poised.
So no, I think that VLCT has a few more issues to bring up.
There's just a couple more to mention, and if you look at our priorities, you'll see that there's quite a few that are not necessarily related to GovOps committee, housing being a huge priority for us this year. But one that does land in your committee has to do with law enforcement and emergency medical services and sort of the difficulties that we're having with both those sectors at the local level. And again, Gwen is the best person equipped to talk about those a little bit.
I don't want us to talk about them now because I just want us to highlight what the issues, what the topics are, because I really want to make sure that we have time to discuss and make sure that we have the town meeting vote bill. And we will take that up. We did talk about that a little bit earlier and about regionalization and dispatch and that whole ball of wax. So I'm sorry to cut you off, but we definitely will take it up.
Okay, we're finished then.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had more things on your list.
We have hundreds of things in our list, but we pared it down for you.
Okay. So any questions for VLCT about is the environmental justice bill in our committee or is that in natural resources?
I'm not really sure where it is. It may
It's
be in
natural resources.
It's in natural resources?
I did a lead sponsor introduction last session in the last couple weeks, and it's
Right.
Senate Natural Resources.
Okay.
It's Chris's it's across
Yeah.
the hall.
All right. Thank you. And so what we're going to do is let's vote on the town meeting bill if we have a motion, and then we'll talk about the schedule for the next couple days. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. So Senator Collmore, did you want to make a motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, I do. I'm kind of trapped because I don't know what the number of the bill is. Is it S-172?
Yes.
Yes,
All right.
version two as amended.
Version 2 as amended. So I would move that the committee vote out favorably S 172 version 2 as amended. Well,
Senator
we haven't
Clarkson?
amended it.
So I think that first we have to vote
Vote
on amending the bill S 172 and then vote it out.
So let my motion, I'm sorry, go ahead, Senator Clarkson.
My question is, we haven't actually had Tucker walk through the amendment. So he went off to draft the amendment, which is, I believe, section F.
No,
Well,
he
he went off to make a fix on some language.
did
Right,
a correction, but I think the amendment was what he walked through it before.
right. But what he was going off to fix, we don't need to go through. You just fixed
Well,
it.
we
Okay.
can. Okay, let's go through it just to make sure. Tucker.
Good afternoon again, everyone. Version 2 of the amendment has been posted. The only change from version 1 that we walked through earlier is there is a new instance of amendment that removes that incorrect reference to the requirement that voters request early absentee ballots. So that used to be subdivision 2A, took that out. Now it's all collapsed into one clean subdivision 2 without that language. And that's the only difference between the amendment you heard earlier and the amendment in front of you now, version 2.
Perfect.
Are we okay?
So procedurally, do we still need 2 votes?
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
first one would be to vote out
Amendment.
version 2 of the amendment to S 172. So moved.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I,
So you want to treat this as an informal vote and not call roll?
maybe
Oh,
on
on
the
the, I was treating the amendment as such, but
Okay.
maybe we should call the roll on it.
There's like
I-
a whole section
yeah.
for amendment votes, so
Yeah.
I was curious.
That's, and do you have all the forms?
I do, and
Okay.
Gail sent me a reminder of how this is working because, we've sometimes gotten in trouble with Secretary Bloomer. So after I call the roll, really the stars of the show are the reporter of the bill and Gail. She'll get a clean copy with Tucker's help or with whoever from Legislative Council's help to Secretary Bloomer.
Mhm.
And the reporter of the bill shares and Gail also lets them know exactly when it was voted out favorably. The reporter of the bill then lets them know the votes and that they're the reporter of the bill. Gail, did I miss anything?
Nope, that is correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's so much more difficult doing it this way, isn't it, than when you're in person, you have that little piece of paper that you just, so anyway. All right, so we do have a motion by Senator Collmore and Senator Rom Hinsdale. Do you want to call the roll on that motion?
Yes, version 2 amendment.
Mhm.
Senator Clarkson,
yes.
Senator Collmore,
Yes.
Senator Polina,
Yes.
myself, Senator Rom Hinsdale, and we'll want to change that, Gail. It just says my,
Oh, yes, I will change that.
thank you. Yes, and Chairwoman White.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, now
Oh.
we have a motion to report the bill.
Favorably as amended.
Okay. Would you like to call the roll?
Sure. Senator Clarkson,
Yes.
Senator Collmore,
Yes.
Senator Polina,
Yes.
myself, Senator Rom Hinsdale, yes, Senator White.
Yes. And thank you. And Senator Collmore, would you like to report?
Certainly.
Okay. We
Good
passed our
job.
first bill.
Yay. I
Yay.
think from here, what Gail will do is confirm with me that the vote looks correct.
Okay.
And then one of us, Gail, what makes the most sense? After I confirm it's correct, will you forward it to Senator Collmore?
So I did fill out the record of action on this end,
Mhm.
and I will forward that to you and you can concur. And then I'll take care of that. And then I think the clean copy of the bill actually has to come from me. Come from Tucker to me and then on to Senator Collmore.
And then from Senator Collmore to Secretary Bloomer.
Right.
So is that possible to do by the end of today so that we could have the first bill and get some special gold star?
Absolutely. I think the clean copy is actually the one that's posted, correct?
Yeah, it should be. So
Well,
we can
I'm
get
in
it
the-
up to, go ahead.
I'm in the building. I don't know whether that will facilitate any speed on this, but I'll be glad to go up and check with John Bloomer.
It would be great if because if we passed it today, it would be on tomorrow. And I believe that we have agreements to suspend rules to advance
Yeah.
it. So we could actually vote on this bill tomorrow and get it to the House.
Very exciting.
Okay, so you guys will do your magic and we'll see when it comes up on the floor.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
everybody. Yeah.
That may be a record even for our committee.
Senator Doyle, when he was chair of GovOps when I first was on the committee, and he always wanted to get the first bill up there. It was so funny because come on, we got to get a bill up there right away. So, all right. So committee, let's look at our Tucker, is it possible for us and having Gwen and Karen and Chris, Jim, whoever, join us tomorrow afternoon at 3:15 to talk about the open meeting law bill? Can we start the discussion tomorrow? Does that work for, okay, and Tucker, does that work for you? I can't see you for some reason.
Yes, his thumb is up.
Yes.
Okay.
It works.
Oh, there you are. Okay. All right. So let's start that tomorrow. And there are a couple people who I know have expressed an interest in, if they can join us. Chris Campany from a Regional Planning Commission. And I don't know if you know of other people who at this point want to join us. It's pretty short notice, but we won't finish it tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. So just let's let everybody know. If you, many of us have heard from select board people and stuff, let's let them know that we're going to start tomorrow at 3:15.
Yep, great.
Catherine Dimitrick, who's the Franklin Grand Isle Regional
Right.
Commission, she would be interested.
Okay, can you send her information to Gail?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll send Chris's. So if anybody has a select board person or whoever that they've talked to that has an interest in, just let them know that we're going to start the discussion tomorrow. If they can join us, that would be great. We may not have time for a lot of testimony because we're just starting at 3:15, but we'll at least let people know. So if you
Great.
get their information to Gail, that would be great.
And if they want to testify, great. Okay.
Yeah, and they may not be testifying tomorrow because we may not get to them tomorrow, but we'll get them on the list. Okay. And then Thursday, Thursday and Friday, I thought we would start walking through the bills that we've defined so far as priorities. And I thought we might start with the ethics bill since that's one's been hanging around for a long time. And there seems to be a lot of interest in it. Does that make sense to start? We could have Ameren walk us through it and invite the new director of the Ethics Commission. Anthony, is that Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And so we'll start with that one. We don't, and then I'll see if there are, if 147, if we can have somebody walk us through that one. That's the language access one. So if we can walk through at least those two on Thursday. And okay, we'll figure out what else we're gonna try and walk through, but and get people here to, not to take testimony necessarily, but to walk through, so then we can decide if we want to go forward with the bills or not. Is that
Yes.
okay? All right, so I'll try and schedule as many of the ones that we've identified already as priorities to walk through on Thursday and Friday as we can.
Sounds good.
Good.
Okay. Thank you. I think this was a very productive first day.